Hey everyone, and welcome to Already Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about The Leftovers, Season 2, Episode 10. It is called I Live Here Now. It is the season finale, so, made another milestone. Finished Season 2, which means we've actually only got 8 left. Because Season 3
we're more than two-thirds through.
Yeah, because Season 3 is a little bit shorter, so we're making good time.
Yes,
Excellent.
we may be way behind schedule, but we're fine.
Oh yeah, we were supposed to finish like 2 weeks ago, given the original schedule, but hey, we're here now.
You don't need to know that.
But so, full spoilers for the episode, of course, as always. So, just to sort of give you an impression of how much went on in this season finale, at the end of the episode, we end with a shot sort of going through like all the characters, well, most of the characters, sort of the final moment as Kevin like enters the house, and this is how much went on during this episode. It got to Matt and Mary, and I went, "Oh yeah, Mary woke up this episode."
Jesus, that shot was literally just, hey, one big happy family.
I was
like
oh,
everyone
right.
there was family.
Yeah, she woke up this episode. That's right. I forgot about that. That's how much went on. That's how much went on.
Yeah, pretty big episode.
Yeah, which might actually be my one kind of complaint about the episode. I mean, I liked it a lot.
Bit too much.
It's not so much that it was too much necessarily. It was that because all season, like what they've been doing all season, is that they've been taking one or two characters and have been focusing, and each episode's been so focused on one thing, and it's done it with a beginning, middle, and end, and it's been like a full story. And each episode, because of that, has been so satisfying that this final episode, because it is jumping around all the ends of all the plots that have all been set up, it's maybe the most not haphazard. It's not that.
It's a little
jumbled,
scattershot.
Yeah, it just feels like it's going around a lot more because it certainly there was a point where I'm like, is anyone going to like find Kevin being shot? And it went like 20 minutes with like no progress in that, and then we got to his bit.
Kevin was alive for about 20 minutes, and then he was dead again. he lives, he dies, he lives again.
Oh, what's that from?
Mad Max.
I saw it as, yeah. What a glorious day. So let's talk about it then. So we actually open with a scene we've seen about 4 times already this season, which is the girls, Evie and her friends leaving on the night of John's birthday.
Yes.
But this time it was actually kind of exciting because we knew this time, we're going to go with them now. We're not going to stay with Kevin. We're not going to stay with John.
We're getting the answer.
Yeah, we're going to go with them. And it was like a current, because obviously we've seen the scene before, so during the scene all I'm thinking is, before we get to the new stuff, is like, so I wonder what their mindset's going to be like, once, like, is this all an act while in front of the parents, and then as soon as, like, and sure enough, like, as soon as they're away from the parents, it's like, radio off, and they're all just sitting there in silence.
And you suddenly realise they're already so indoctrinated into the GR, because she writes something down. It's like, oh, okay, they're already this far. It was always just been an act.
They have been planning this for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to say how long. I mean, maybe the day that she met Meg, maybe that was the genesis of it. Maybe, I mean, she wasn't in the GR yet, but maybe they kept in touch or something. I don't know.
You have to assume so.
Or at the very least, once Meg was in the GR and she starts to have this plan about this town, she's like, this is how we're going to shock the world. This is how we're going to be remembered again. Is that she
reaches out to that one person who she knows was jaded with the idea of that town.
Yeah, so you can see where the genesis of the whole thing lay. But so yeah, sure enough, we follow them and they're quiet. They get to the lake and they get out. They set everything up like it was. The music's still on. The phone's sitting there. The bags are still there. They've got a separate bag in the back of the car for their own things, but like everything that everyone would expect to be there's there. But of course, the one notable thing is something they see when they're out here as they're about to walk away, and obviously you quickly go, oh, I know what they're looking at, because we know who else is out there, and sure enough, it's Kevin, which I think is really notable because I don't think, at least as far as I know, we have never seen Kevin in one of these other states.
Yeah, no, we haven't.
And I think it's interesting that we see this moment and we see that he sees them as he remembers it, because it's only after he's waking up now that he remembers this incident, that he remembers, and that makes me wonder, does Kevin remember everything now from when he's been like the other version of himself?
It feels like maybe he does, like this, when he's got rid of Patty, it's got rid of this mental block, and suddenly he is one person again.
Yeah, so I think that's a fascinating idea. But of course, there's something darkly comical about him just holding this cinder block and just being like, and then just jumping into the water.
Yeah, and there's a moment where you can see the two friends look at Evie like maybe almost like, should we go and help him?
Mm,
And then she just turns and walks off, and they follow.
yeah, and he jumps in, and then the earthquake happens, which neatly. It's a very nice transition actually, because it transitions to him like coming out of the grave, but that also transitions really well because the transition from the dream world or the afterlife world to him waking up was also like an earthquake. Like at the end of episode 8, that was also an earthquake.
It was. I did think the actual effect of it looked a bit funny on the water.
I think that's just a visual effect. Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
it was, but I'm just I'm gonna call it out.
I think this show typically doesn't have to deal with visual effects, so this was like one of the few times where it's this big effect kind of thing.
Yeah, looked a bit wonky.
But yeah, so that takes on, and he is like, and we find out, Mike was like, yeah, my grandfather told me to put you there and bury you there, so that seemed to be the plan. Like he made
Yeah,
sure he was there to help him, and he's like, oh, how long was I out? And he's like, 8 hours, something like that, and he's like, okay, and he asked like, did you see my sister? And we know, well, no, I couldn't have because she's not dead. And he's
yeah,
like, but I did see her somewhere else. And it's like, oh, he remembers. And of course, this all comes to a head because then the cops go to John and like, yeah, you remember how we told you it was useless, like checking the palm prints of everyone in town? Yeah, we were wrong about that.
I like that they like pretty much say it like that though.
Yeah, that's almost the exact
Yeah,
line.
yeah. Sorry about that, mate. We maybe should have done this ourselves.
Yeah, so they go to find him and he's not there, and like to the point where Jill and Laurie are almost worried, is he coming back? Because John's like, you sure he's coming? Because John thinks he's on the run. John thinks that he's made a break for it because he thinks he's going to get caught because of the
Yeah,
handprint.
and I love the moment where they look over and they're like, no, he's coming back, and it's like it's this double meaning of he came back to life.
Yeah. And he walks in, and I love that he walks in with Michael because it's just like this double like confusion for John. It's like, wait, what? Why were you with him? Like, what's going on? And obviously all this builds up because John takes him away in the car, and I was genuinely worried for old Kevin here because he's saying to Jill and Laurie, like, you stay here, because Jill looks worried. Like Jill's kind of concerned, like, where's this going? He's came to the house
Yeah.
with two cops. What was this about? He's like, no, don't
What's
worry,
he
you
done
stay
this
here.
time?
And they go off in the car, and obviously other things. And we'll stick with this plot for now. We'll just get, rather than jumping around like the episode did. It's harder to keep track of your thoughts that way. So he takes them to the animal like pen, just over the bridge where they took his dog at the start of the season.
The quarantine.
Yeah, and he's like, which one's yours? And I'm like, don't tell him. He's going to shoot the dog. Don't tell him. He's going to kill the dog. Do not tell him. And he doesn't. And Kevin's smart enough to say, no, this is not about the goddamn dogs. And it's almost like, oh, you tell me which one's your dog, and I'll give you the dog back, and you tell me where my daughter is. And he's
Yeah,
like,
it's almost like, look, we both know I can grease some palms around here. You just tell me where she is, give her back, and I'll forget all about this. Give you your dog back. Just one for one.
but he's smart enough not to let him know, and he starts answering the questions pretty honestly as well. He doesn't really necessarily, he doesn't just come out and say, oh, I was in an afterlife place and all that, but he's like, no, I died and then I remembered, and oh yeah, Michael's grandfather. We find out actually that it's not his dad, it's
Yeah,
Erica's dad. That was
yes.
brought up. Yeah. And he brings up the abuse, and he's like, no, and he gets really, offended's not the right word, but hurt
Defensive.
defensive, and like he immediately is like, would you say like his composure just goes? Now he always has that tinge of anger, but this wasn't like him holding back anymore. This was him getting emotional like
Yeah,
immediately.
it was one of those moments where, like, Kevin says, I can prove I was with him, and he says something that he'll
Yeah.
know. Then he knows the truth, and John doesn't want to admit it, but he's like,
Yeah.
no, he knows this.
This is
Again, it's like this is the idea that this is real, but he can't accept that yet.
This is something that he's probably never wanted to admit.
Yeah,
Yeah, and he confronted with this, as much as that kind of proves that this at least part of his story is real. At least the part where he went to go see him is real. He can't accept that.
but then it questions, doesn't it? It's like, well, if that's real, is he telling the truth about everything?
And he's like, no, she didn't die. She just disappeared. She faked it. She faked her disappearance. And he doesn't know where she went. It's not like Kevin knows she went to the GR. She has no idea where she went to. But
Yeah,
he's bringing all this up, and John's like, well, why would she do that? She loves her mother. She loves Michael. She loves me. And Kevin says, maybe she didn't.
Not at first though. He's prodded into it. He's just like, I don't know why she did it. And John's like, yeah, but guess. Go on, take a guess.
Sure, he's not jumping straight into the comment.
He's not an idiot. He knows that would be a stupid comment just to make flippantly.
But do you know what I love about this scene though? Is that from Kevin's perspective, he's went through this. I mean, sure, Laurie didn't fake a death necessarily, but she still left. Tom also just kind of disappeared and went away, and he actually knows the feeling of this. So the fact that he doesn't want to just say that at first is like, A, he understands his feelings, but then B, when he's prodded into actually give him an answer, it's not like he's actually guessing. He's actually just telling him, no, this is what I went through. They kind of stopped loving everyone around them. This is what happened.
Yeah, it's this harsh reality of this is what happened to me. They stopped loving me as well. So it's like I get this.
Laurie especially. Tom's maybe a bit more
Tom's
debatable, but
a bit more murky, isn't he?
Yeah, but Laurie certainly, like, that was kind of her whole thing. And now she came back. Like, that was even her big thing at the start of the season. She came back. She came back to life. I think that phrasing might even have been used at some point, if not by her, then by Matt. Because it's something Matt would say. I want to bring them back to life.
It is, isn't it?
It's his kind of dialogue. But so obviously, I was worried for Kevin's well-being when he said this, and because it was probably the most brutally honest anyone's ever been to John. No one ever wants to tell John how it is. In fact, earlier on, Erica tries to tell John how it is because she makes him open the present. In fact, she takes it off of him. The present that Evie gave him on the night she disappeared, and it's the cricket that was chirping. And we know that it was chirping after she went away because we heard it.
Yeah.
I actually didn't think she heard it though. I thought her hearing it was out at the time. I thought that was the point of that scene. I misread that clearly. But the whole idea that she put one in, just found one and put in the box to, like, because he wouldn't let go, and at that statement, when Erica says that, because you wouldn't let go, he's like, F you. It's like, so clearly he does not like being told the harsh truth about himself.
No, he just can't accept it, can he? It's the same way, like when Kevin brings this stuff up, like, oh, I know what he did to you, and he gets defensive. He just doesn't like facing the reality. So
I was right to be worried for his well-being, because John, in about the space of about 3 seconds, pulls out his gun and shoots him in the stomach.
Oh, it's instant. It's just no chance to think about it. It just happens.
And it's like, damn, I'm sure he's not going to die because we have another season. I'm like, man, that escalated so
I was
quickly.
Like, we literally just got him back.
Yeah, he's in and out, man. Like, stop it. And obviously, as this has gone on, we know that stuff in the bridge is going down. So John leaves this room. He goes outside, and the cops immediately go, "It's Evie, John. It's Evie. Come quick, follow us." And it's like, man, this is breakneck pace for him. Like, he's had, today's not. I mean, it's still the morning. He's already had a fight with his wife. He shot a man. Thought he killed him, and now his daughter, who he thought was dead, turns out she did actually just fake her disappearance. And she's, at this point in time, everyone's thinking she's with a van full of explosives on a bridge, attempted to commit suicide, like a suicide bomber.
Yeah.
It's a hectic day for John. Busy day, busy morning.
Really is.
Yeah. And then by the end of the night, it's going to look like the post-apocalyptic version of the town. So, heavy events, like I say. So we'll get to the bridge. There's about Mary waking up. Then that was another thing.
That's a nice break point for Kevin's story for now.
I did like that the song that Matt kept playing on the radio every morning to try, because he was trying to recreate the conditions. It was the same song, and then Nora's like, "Oh, this is shit," and turned the channel. And she's like making up. I think she's doing like she's tending to the baby. She's putting the diaper on or something. She's working away, and she's like, there's a talk show on, and she doesn't really know what it is. She just turned the channel to whatever else is on, and someone's phoning in, and this guy is trying. It's like a psychiatric show. At least that's what it sounds like at this point, because the guy's asking for help. And my wife, we lost a child in the departure, and it was only a baby. Now I've suggested having another baby, having a fresh start. And the guy's like, "Oh, but your wife's hurt, and something inside her, the part that lets her love, is broken," which was a big theme of the show. Like, the GR encapsulate that whole thing. But having another baby's not going to fix that. But here's what will fix that: Jesus. And Nora Without, again, much like
The
John,
line that snaps her though is he goes, Jesus was the original departure.
she just turns around, picks up the radio, and just smashes it on the floor, and then
She
casually
goes, F this.
Yeah, but the best part about it though is she casually just goes back to what she was doing. It's not like she has a kind of whole outburst. She just snaps, smashes it, F this, back to what she was doing.
Cue earthquake.
Cue earthquake, which wakes up Mary.
I love how it feels like we've spoken about how the earthquakes have felt like really biblical events. I love how this one is literally after she just was like really blasphemous next to a church because she seems to be back in, she's back in their home.
Yeah, that's true. Obviously, it ties it back into the first episode of the season. Though. Remember the flashback, the caveman times at the start, and that was an earthquake that caused everything then. Especially at the end of this episode, I want to bring that up again because I had a worry about the ending based on that opening that I thought was going to bookend the season. But it was also brought up actually in episode 8 when he was talking to when Kevin was talking to Patty.
Yeah.
She brought up she's just mentioned it's not caveman times, or we lost the people in the cave. Like she used that as a metaphor, as if she'd also seen the scene, and I thought that was an interesting little callback. To maybe sort of say that's what that scene was about. It was just like a metaphor for the show and moving on. But yeah, so Mary wakes up and she's like, "Huh, where am I? What's going on? Where's Matt? What's happening?" And she seems fine, and and maybe this reinforces Matt's beliefs that this town is special and that something can happen here.
Yeah.
It could also be that she was on the verge to recovery anyway, and it was like a sign that
she was definitely just singing a song.
Okay.
I'm just saying. We'll follow up with the rest of Kevin's story.
I know what you mean. But anyway, so Nora takes her to see Matt, as you would. Come see your husband.
Sensible.
And he's shaving away as he as he comes in, and so he's shocked. Of course, he's wowed by the whole thing, like as he would be.
Sees her in the mirror, and it's like,
is this real?
And then hears her.
Yeah. Is this real? Is this happening? And Nora's like, yeah, it's happening. It's a thing. And of course, my favourite moment out of all this is probably when he casually mentions the baby. We need to get you and the baby back to the town. She's like, what? And he's like,
he looks up at Nora. Is like, you didn't tell her.
That mentioned that part. But what I thought was interesting, because I thought they might, like, maybe she wouldn't remember that time she woke up, and like this would be kind of murky for her as well.
And she'd be like, what happened?
Yeah. But no, sure enough, like he says, did you remember what happened when you woke up? It's like, yeah, we had sex. Well, and he's like, sure enough, here's what happened as a result of that.
And I have to admit, I was really getting worried at this point, because Matt is so happy as that big Eccleston grin, and then every time we've seen Matt be happy in this show, it's just until something worse is about to happen to him, and then he's suddenly so desperate, like, go and get her back in, and Nora's like, 10 minutes, it's fine, I'll take her in 10 minutes. I'm like, oh, for God's sake.
To be fair, from Nora's point of view,
from Nora's point of view, I get it, but from me, I was like, oh, for God's sake, just get her back in, don't do this.
Yeah. But funnily enough, in a weird way, he does get like the happiest of possible endings here for him. Nothing bad really happens to him or Mary, and by the end of the episode, like you say, one big happy family. Let's go.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's almost like because he put that ultimatum down, because he said, look, I'll be out of the town until she wakes up, which she will wake up. I believe it with every fibre of my being. He was proven right, and because he was proven right, nothing bad happened afterwards. Maybe so.
Right. I was worried because.
Oh, I get it. I spent a lot of this episode worrying about various characters.
This one in particular, because Matt is never happy for long. Something always comes and ruins it every time. And
then we had this random lady, but lots of piercings, one of the big chain things from her nose and all the rest of it. Possibly a junkie because she looked really skinny.
I think she was the one who. I'm sure she was the one who made Matt take the.
She might have been. Yeah, she might have been.
I think she was that one that was like, she was like, oh yeah, you want to free him, take his place.
But she's started just saying to Nora, "That's not your baby. You stole that baby." And I'm like, "Oh God, where's this going?"
Mm.
And I'm like, "Nora, just say she's adopted. Adoptions happen. It's not that weird a thing. You don't have to be in the world of the leftovers where people departed to have adopted a baby of a different color. It's not that weird,
It's
right?
not. It
It
happens.
happens. You know, Angelina Jolie, like House of Them, right? That's kind of her thing almost.
It is. Yeah.
So, you know, it's a normal thing. Just say that. And of course, when she says it again, that's when Nora snaps and says, "F you, lady, go away." Or
Yeah.
"Shut the F up," I think it was the exact line. But, like, you know, she was getting angry.
Yeah.
And then it was later on when everything goes down in the bridge, which again, I'm saving that. I'm saving that for the last sort of plot line we get to before we go past that. Um, like, this woman actually grabs the baby. Everyone's running because everyone's storming the town. Everyone's storming up to the bridge. And this woman just grabs the baby and says, "It's not yours," and runs off. And, you know, all the crowd are all running and trampling, and Nora's trying to get up. And that's when, you know, the music's playing, this piano music's playing, and it's oh God, what's going to happen here? Like, are we going to? And I'm like, man, if she loses another kid, like, is she going
It's
to be?
gonna crush her, isn't it?
Could she even find any happiness in season 3 if she has to go through this, losing someone like this again? Um, and I don't think I have ever cringed and been more terrified, just on a base level, than that bird's eye shot. Because when Nora finally sees Lily again, she's just lying on her own on the ground on this bridge.
There's a
And
moment where you just hear her cry first,
Yeah.
and I thought that she, taken the baby inside the trailer
Mm,
because Nora had just run past it and she hears it cry and then she pauses. I thought she'd gone past it and like she was trying to hide from her.
nah, just on the bridge, lying on the floor on her own, and there's
All these people just
hundreds.
running, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, don't trample on her, don't do it, don't do it.
And this shot from above, like, I can't imagine how choreographed this must have been to, you know, because everyone would have known she was there, and they would have, you know, it wouldn't even surprise me if there was an effect here so that she wasn't actually there, and they
Yeah, it
put
was
it
just a
in.
doll and CG'd
Yeah.
her face in or something.
I could see that. Like, maybe there'll just be like a green circle, and then they, you know, green screened in the actual baby with the, but. You know, Nora's getting to her, and then Nora just like throws herself over the top and covers her, and you can actually see some people step on Nora, like she's taking some
Yeah,
foot
and
stomps
I
here.
love how reminiscent it is of the start of the episode for her, where the earthquake happens and she just covers the baby
And Mary,
and Mary. Yeah, she
yeah,
just covers them. It's like, okay, obviously we can't get under anything.
yeah,
And so she just takes,
she's Mama Bear.
yeah.
She's covering everyone. She's protecting them. And it's actually Tom who's, you know, he doesn't have much before this. He's just kind of worried about what's going to happen.
You can just see him, and you're kind of going, "Where's he going to go on this one?" You can see him concerned, but still
Yeah,
kind of
he's
going
got
along with it.
doubts. You know, Meg kind of is like, "Oh, you worried about your family?" And she's kind of goading them and, like, you know, kind of gloating because she knows what's about to happen.
He has that really great moment where he's like, "No, I don't care about family," and she's like, "You should. Family's everything."
And you can
And
tell that he doesn't mean it. He's just saying that.
because he thinks that's
Yeah.
what she wants to hear.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Meg's terrifying.
But yeah, so he actually is the one who picks them up and puts them into the trailer to protect them. And is like, "Hey, you're okay." And I love the idea that Nora's probably seen a picture of Tom, but
Yeah.
has never met him. so this is probably like a really weird, like, "Oh
And
wait, you're Tom."
I love that what snaps out is the baby for Tom. Like he spent so long protecting the
Yeah.
child,
And he's
and
like,
he
"No, that
couldn't.
kid is important. I can't let that kid just be hurt." Like,
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. He couldn't let it go.
And I think Tom does care about everyone around him. I think a lot of this show is about coming back to life for everyone. I think, everyone who was left on October 14th kind of died in a weird way. Like, their emotions, they were kind of crippled from this experience. And I think a lot of this show, some more than others, but certainly, Kevin's entire journey to come back. And the idea that Kevin, unlike a lot of the others, was already kind of half dead before that happened. Like, he was already in a place where he hated his life, he was having his midlife crisis, and but everyone's kind of fighting their way back, and it's almost like everyone in unity trying to fight back together is what's actually given some of them the strength. Like, maybe Kevin never would have. Like, maybe he would have just went through his stupid midlife crisis, and it would have set him on a path, like, who knows where. Maybe the divorce, he'd be on his own, he'd have a weird life. But instead, like, everyone going through this together, and I think that's a big theme that plays throughout the show, but throughout this episode in a big way, and I'll talk more about that when we get to later scenes. So, so that was Mary and Nora, and that's the last we see them until till the end.
Yes. Yeah,
So I guess we should get to the GR, get to the trailer and Evie and
yeah.
all that going on. So a little bit of build up, and then Meg drives up in a car that's got the trailer attached to it, and is like, try to get in, and she pokes some fun at the guard, who's like, oh, the town's off limits to outsiders today. It's, 14's a time of remembrance for everyone inside.
Reflection is the word.
Reflection was the word. Same difference, but aye. And she's like, reflection for what? Nothing happened here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say she doesn't have a point, because she kind of does, but although that said, when we actually get that church scene and the pastors talking about on that day when everyone heard about what happened on the news, on TV and whatever, everyone ran out and actually was like, wait, is everyone okay? Is everyone here? Like, as soon as they heard about it, it's like, okay.
They had a moment of panic as well.
Yeah, it didn't happen in our house, but maybe it happened in the neighbour's house. Like, they all went outside and everyone's... I was like, oh, that sounds like kind of an interesting experience. Like, that something could have literally affected everyone around you, so you went and checked, and then for this one town, it actually didn't affect anyone. Everyone was like, oh,
yeah,
everyone's okay. I think that'd have been... I almost wouldn't have been opposed to seeing that scene. Like, if they did a flashback of that to, be the start of like one of the episodes, a little prologue to sort of set up what that experience was like. But yeah, she drives on through. She mentions she's got like plastic explosives. Like, was it 30 pounds? Yeah, something like that. And she drives out of the bridge, and they're cuffing Meg. They get her out of the car. Meg just comes out of the car willingly. She's like, my job's done. Like,
yeah, throws the keys away so they can't just drive the car off.
And then the door opens to the trailer, and you just see the close up of the feet, all three sets of feet coming out, and it's them. And we don't actually, I think, see them standing there. It cuts to the church at that point, I think, and we cut around different things, because I think it's when the cop says, John, see Evie comes, come follow us. I think that's the first time you see her, is when he sees her from the distance, which is actually kind of a nice touch. Like, we don't get to even see her face in this episode until her father sees, and even then, at first it's just the back of the hair. It's just the head. You're like, okay, that looks like her hair, but it's the back of the head. But then eventually she turns around, and
I think it might have been more effective if we hadn't seen her at the end of the last episode, because we'd have known it was still, when three sets of feet come out, we'd have gone, we know what this is. We'd be thinking it, but I think just to really get us in the heads of everyone in this town of, wait, they're back. Wait, is that actually them? I think it would have been more effective if we hadn't actually got the concrete reveal last episode.
Yeah, but that would ruin the end of the last episode. It would also mean you'd have to take out the opening scene of this one.
Yeah, no, I know.
So you'd be sacrificing a lot of other good scenes.
I would. As I say, I just think it doesn't play quite as well as I think it could because of that.
I don't think it's worth the trade, though. Because that ending of the last episode was really, really strong, and then the opening of this one, because we knew, like, we start that scene again, and we know we're going to follow the girls because we know they're not dead now. We know they're not disappeared. We know they're out there. Like, for me, I think that just there's too much going on there, and then obviously that ties in McKevin's thing, so then you can't really take it out because it would affect him. So no, I think it was handled effectively. So and then eventually, that's when we go to the church, and then John bursts in after Michael's had a bit of a story himself. He goes up, and it's almost like he can't take everyone being so positive. he goes up and he tells this story that his mother always tells about him and his sister, about they're messing around in the bath and they overflow and water's going down the steps, and the mother comes in and she's like, oh, why did you do this? And Evie's Evie says, to
see what would happen.
To see what would happen, yeah. And he's like, no, I mean, she always said that to protect me. Like, that was a lie. It was me that did it. And I thought this was like, everything you thought about your daughter might not be quite true. It was just setting that seed for me.
And he goes further by saying, he did it to drown out her crying because she didn't want everyone else to hear it. The idea that he was probably the only person who really knew her.
Yeah, she was already kind of sad, and he knew she was sad, and so for the parents, this is a shock that she would go down this path, but for him, it's maybe not as much of a shock. For him, it's like, oh, seeds were there. I can kind of...
Yeah, and he goes on to say, none of us disappeared, none of us departed, but we aren't saved.
Yeah, because he says no one left in that day, but people had been leaving for years before, and people have left since, just not in that way.
Yeah. The idea that they're pretending this town is a miracle, and it's everything's perfect, but just because it didn't no one departed doesn't mean it hasn't got all these real problems that could be dealt with.
So John bursts in, and then everything goes silent, which I think is a nice touch. I mean, it usually works anyway. It's a it's a technique that's brought up a lot. But given that Eric is also deaf, I think it adds an extra air of that to it. And she runs past the guards. They manage to get a hold of John, but she ducks under the police barricade and she runs out onto the bridge. And everyone still thinks there's a bomb at this point. Everyone thinks it's going to blow up. There's a countdown. Like, the thing they did is they held up a sign saying an hour. And it's like, a few minutes are left on this countdown clock.
Yeah, it's like 1 minute 40 or something by the time she gets out there.
Yeah. And, Erica runs out. I mean, don't hear a word of this. All of it's just this, one of the themes is playing, the piano themes are playing over the top, the violin, and, very emotional. And I like that she's trying to, she grabs her daughter and she's like, trying to talk sense. She's like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? She's crying the whole time. And I like that at one point, it's like she's into one of her a little epileptic fits where she goes into like this little seizure. Fit's not the right word here. It's much more of a it's a standstill thing.
Seizure, yeah.
Yeah, a fit's more of a more erratic movement kind of thing. But because we've seen she has these, but you almost can't even tell she does it because she's trying to blank her mother the entire time.
Yeah.
So it's almost like she goes into one of those and then comes out of it, but you never really know where it started and ended.
Yeah, there's a point where you realise that it's happened, but it's like what you can't quite tell because the whole point is she's intentionally blank. You kind of miss it.
Yeah, and it maybe sets up this idea from the preview, because obviously I think there's a quick little cut back to her doing it before to remind you, to like show that this is a thing that's happened. And I think like the idea maybe that because the whole thing when she was doing that before is that Erica's like, no, I told you this only happens if you don't take your medication. But the whole GR thing is that we want to remember, we don't want to ignore things. So it's almost like that was almost a sign that she didn't want to just ignore her condition. She wanted to let it happen. She wanted there to be consequences from it. So no, this is going on, and it counts down. And at this point, there's a point for John, which I think is really interesting, where he sort of stops caring about his daughter because she's the one causing this, and says, "Erica, get off the bridge. There's like 30 seconds left. It's going to blow up."
Yeah.
And
it's at this point that we cut down to Tom, and we see all these people getting undressed in the shanty town.
Yeah, it's all the undercover GR changing their clothes.
Yeah, because there's a moment where you're like, what's going on? And then you realise just how many of them there are. And Matt climbs up the stairs that he's got on next to that trailer, and you just see like the army of white.
Yeah, all these GR, and they all storm, and it is that simple. The countdown finishes, and they all storm up. One of them's got bolt cutters. And there's like, what, 3 or 4 guards? They can't hold all these people
there were 4 guards at that door gate, yeah.
And this is like, dozens and dozens and dozens, eventually hundreds. Once, everyone who's not the GR decide to also, it's a good chance, let's storm in. And,
There's the great moment as they march across the bridge and Erica's still there. And they just walk into her and through her. Like they're just knocking her side to side. She doesn't exist to them. Yeah,
you get the idea that everyone who's storming in here... GR or not GR, because the people who are storming into are a mix of people. It's like first it's GR and then it's the normal people. But you get the idea that all of them are broken. Like all of them have put so much stock in this place that they are just walking through someone to get to it. Like they care about it this much, and it is almost healthier actually that the whole illusion of this place is shattered in a weird way. Not that I think this was the way to go about it, but like. The idea that people kept thinking this place was a miracle place and that this would solve all their problems is like the idea of having that weird false hope maybe was unhealthy. And
and then it's got this weird dichotomy of John finally going, maybe this place is special. By the end, when he sees Kevin again, he's like, you should be dead. Like
it's not until it's gone that he realizes that he actually had something.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that's a classic storytelling thing, but
it is.
And not even just that, the idea of his family as well. It's like you don't realize what you've got until it's gone, and that's kind of Kevin's thing in this episode. Is like it's until he almost loses his family that he realizes that all along he did care about them and he wanted to be around his family. So this all goes on, and then it's we get this big aerial shot of like all the people storming onto into the town, and it fades to white, and I'm like. That almost felt the ending of an episode. Like that could have, not a finale, admittedly, maybe, but it felt like it could have ended there. And then I'm like, but how long's left? And I looked at the timer, and I was like, all right, we've got like almost half of the thing left. All right, let's go. What else is happening?
Yeah, I do like the touch that it faded to white instead of black, given the moment.
Yeah. And then Kevin gets up out the bath, just like episode 8.
I was like, oh god, this again.
I was like, shit, he died.
Yeah.
Except this time he knows where it is, and he's like, no, not again. He goes up to the mirror and he's like screaming. He's like, no, F you, you asshole, you just killed me. And I'm like, okay, he's not going to stay dead because, I mean, like, we have a season 3. Unless season 3 is all in purgatory.
That's it. Part of me was going, okay, we only just got Kevin back to send him back here. Is season 3, at least Kevin's side of it, going to be in this world? Are we going to see him in the same way that obviously we saw Patty in the real world, but she was also in this place? Were we going to get a similar thing with Kevin?
But then I quickly sort of latched on to, and what turned out to be the actual thing is that no, this is just a legitimate near-death experience. He's not actually died. It's just a near-death experience kind of thing. And so he gets up and obviously he goes to the closet, and again he's got these options of his clothes.
I love that before he does that though. Before he goes to go, the closet, he goes because he goes to the TV, and he just screams at it. He's like, "Come on, Dad, I know you can hear me." And it's the idea that I'm going, is this how Patty was communicating to him? Like, was she in her room talking through a TV?
I never thought. Yeah, maybe, but he's not getting a signal because he's not all there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he goes to the thing, and I'm like, he's going to pick the cop uniform. He's going to pick his cop uniform this time. That's
because he goes for the assassins. He picks it up, he looks at it, and he's like, no, that's not me.
Yeah, this is me. This is who I am. And I think beyond just realizing who he is, he realizes he is someone who wants to protect people. I think that's part of who he was.
He wants to protect instead of kill.
Yeah, once upon a time. So he makes that choice, and he gets this phone call. Downstairs, someone been attacked, and he runs downstairs. He's like, "I'm going to be there." Like, he doesn't even question the fact that no one should know anything about him. He's just like, "No, I'll be down." And he goes down, and we see that guy who was on the bridge before, who was going to hang him. But he's in a suit. He's like the host of this karaoke night down in the bar, in the hotel, and he's like, "Hey, who wants to do another song next? How about you, sir, police officer? You come up here and you can do a song." And he's like, "No." And then he's like, okay, this woman here, you do a song, and she does a song, and that's when he goes up to him, at the bar, and they have this conversation. And probably one of my favourite lines of the entire show came during this, or one of my favourite exchanges came during this, where he's like, all you have to do is go up and do a song. Why won't you do a song? Because it's stupid. I love that line. I love that response. Because it was just so like, if you don't believe any of this shit, you're like, yeah, it's stupid. This is stupid. Although then he has a good rebuttal where he's like, you threw a little girl down a well, you won't sing a song? Like...
And he's like, God damn it, I guess I gotta bloody sing.
Yeah, because he's like, send me back. And he's like, why should you go back? Everyone wants to go back. He's like, because I deserve to go back.
Yeah, first he's like, no, I got family, not my time. He's like, you gotta be original. Give me a good reason.
Yeah, and he's like, all you have to do is sing the song. So the woman finishes her song, and he's like, okay. And he goes up and he sings the song. I'm not familiar with it. I think it's Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah, I think so.
Homeward Bound, I think was the name.
Homeward Bound, definitely.
Yeah. And he starts, and obviously it's about going home, it's about your family, and it's about all that. And we get these quick shots of, first of all, we get the family in the flashback, which is notable because that was when he was faking it. He was faking that he cared about his family, or at least faking that he was happy about his situation at that point. And we see Nora, we see her later. So we go through the people who mean to him, and he finishes the song, and that's when it fades to white again, and he wakes up. And but like I say, like at this point, it had been like a good while, like before we faded to white and went to this hotel. It'd been a good 15-20 minutes since we'd seen Kevin. He got shot, and he'd been lying in there bleeding out.
Yeah, it was a long time.
Forever long.
I mean, this episode was longer than normal, and it really had to be just to fit the amount that it does in. Like,
it does not feel like it's stretched out at all.
No, it's so quick paced. There's just that much that happens that they physically couldn't have fit all this in any short amount of time. There's no wasted space. Talking
about time, that reminds me of maybe a criticism of the opening scene. How long were those girls driving? Because Kevin was at the house when they left. We know that he went to see Virgil and had a conversation, and then went out to the lake with the cinder block.
I assume they went somewhere else first. Pick up
Oh,
the bags. I don't know.
sure, sure. But the way it was shot, it didn't feel that way. The way it,
That's true. I assume there was just some trickery where
yeah.
we
Now,
missed some
now,
stuff.
to be fair, in the previous episodes, whenever we saw the earthquake happen, it was like the middle of the night. Like it was when Laura was in bed.
Yeah.
So we knew it was, hours later. So that's fair enough. It's just the way it was cut in this episode. I was like, wait, he went to go see Virgil and then came here. Like, how?
Yeah, I think it was a weird editing thing,
Yeah.
honestly. Just to keep
Yeah.
the motion of the car.
It was something that it popped out of my head though when I was watching. I was like, how was he already here? Like, what the
Yeah.
hell? But yeah, so where were we? Yeah, so he wakes up. He goes outside, and I think that bridge scene was almost foreshadowing of the condition of the town was going to be in.
Yeah.
Because it looks kind of post-apocalyptic. The signs have been ripped down, and there's like the barrels with the fire, which you always see in these situations. And he's stumbling around, and he gets his dog. Right? In fact, I love the moment where he lets the dog out, and he like hugs him and says, "Sorry for for the wait." But he's like he's hugging him and kissing him. He kisses him like 5 times. Like he's so happy to see the dog, which is why it then broke my heart when the dog ran off when he got outside.
I thought it was happening though at first because I thought the dog was going over, like because we ran towards the bridge, right? That's where I thought, oh, Nora and the baby and Tom
Yeah.
are still inside the trailer,
I thought
and
that
he's
for a
leading
second.
Kevin to them.
Yeah, I thought that for a second. Given where it actually goes, though, I think the dog is symbolic of him getting okay. Like he doesn't need the dog anymore. The dog
Yeah.
was there to help him heal. It still makes me sad that the dog might not have like a owner now or somewhere to live. But okay,
He managed before Kevin. He'll manage after.
true, true. And obviously him looking at the dog and the dog running away. It's very reminiscent, of course, of a lot of the season one stuff with the
Yeah.
dog and dog being shot and everything else.
Yeah, dogs were a big theme in season one.
Yeah. Which is, by the way, is something I really I like that as much as the GR weren't a big as a part of this season, throughout it, they were still important. Like when they popped up, it was like no, the memory of these people is important and it's still relevant and it still comes back.
Yeah,
And hell,
and-
even the whole idea that Meg was pissed off that people are forgetting us, we were forgetting them because they hadn't really been around on the show.
Right, and I love the idea that when they showed up in this army at the end here, it was like you can't run away from your fears. You can't just ignore your problems and run away from them. They're going to catch up to you and they're going to come with a vengeance.
Yeah, yeah. So Kevin, dog's away. He's stumbling around. He goes into the welcome center. Meg is there. Clearly, that when everyone stormed, the cops didn't care about withholding her, and the whole GR are in here. They're just like they don't even really care about the town all that much. It's almost like they just wanted everyone else to get in so they could cause chaos, and like, they've sent their message basically.
Their point's been made.
And Meg's still, of course, talking. In fact, Meg starts singing a song. She starts singing the Miracle song, which, by the way, we heard earlier on in this episode as well. This came up a few times. As in the church, they were singing it, and then it's singing here. And Evie, who otherwise has been quiet this episode, also joins in the song. And at this point, though, it's like almost like an ironic, kind of like, spiteful. Yeah, still think it's a miracle, dickheads. Go on.
Some really uncomfortable harmonies going on as well, which I'm sure was very intentional. Like
Yeah.
it was completely a bastardized version in the harmony.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sure that was like they didn't do that by accident. That was no. Let's make this sound a bit unsettling compared to normal. But obviously it's a big thing. Like one of Evie's biggest moments in the first episode of the season was singing that song, and she looked kind of happy doing it. But obviously that was a lie. That was the fake. He's kind of pretending to be okay.
And I love that works for the GR because they've been out in this shanty town, undercover. Like they've been putting up this fake ideals, and people thought that they knew all these people, and then because they were kind of like a community out there, and then all of a sudden it's like they weren't at all.
Yeah, yeah. Because when Kevin gets into the town, he goes to the town square. You see them all. They're like animals. They're just taking over the town square and they've like got stuff burning. They're like setting up their own camps again, but in the middle of the town.
Got the pillories back up and going.
Yeah, yeah. Kevin stumbles over at the clinic and he goes in, hoping to find some supplies or whatever. And that's when John comes in, because John's looking for Erica, doesn't know what Erica is, and he comes in and sees him. And he's like, I killed you. And Kevin just looks up and goes, nope.
I almost wanted to go, yeah, you did.
Yeah. It's like, but I like that this is maybe the start of him questioning, like, but you should be dead. Is this a miracle?
And he's like,
yeah.
he looks down and was like, You should have bled out a long time ago.
Yeah, when he goes up to the wound, yeah, he starts like looking at it, and he helps him. He's like, okay, I'm going to clean you up. I'm going to like,
Yeah, because it's this idea that when he shot Kevin, it was a reaction because he didn't want to face the reality. But then, as soon as that happened, he went out and saw Evie, and he had to be, he had to just accept that
yeah, it was
she was
true.
gone. It was
Yeah,
true. He wasn't lying. He was genuinely just telling him how it was, and he just didn't want to hear it, and he kind of felt guilty for shooting him just for being honest.
yeah. I think obviously guilt's there, but I think it is ultimately that maybe John isn't actually a bad person. It's like deep down he isn't, but he is very reactionary. He does.
He is, yeah.
Yeah.
He flies off the handle pretty quickly.
And the reason why he did, like, because that was the other thing that Michael brought up in that speech, was that their dad wasn't there at the time, and obviously we knew he was in prison.
Yeah.
And it's like the idea that their father did leave for a long time, and we don't know how many years he was away, but presumably it was for a while.
Yeah.
And I think that's like an interesting idea, and he helps Kevin up, and he's like patching him up, and he starts crying as he's like trying to patch him up, and it's just seeing John, like the barriers come down and see him actually kind of break down from everything that's going on and not understanding it, and Kevin like sort of agreeing and like not really understanding it either. What's going on here? It's like, I have no idea. Yeah, me neither. Like, there's this weird bonding, and then it cuts to them walking down the street, and like, John's holding him up, like he's walking with him. He's got his arm over his shoulder, and they're kind of together. And they get home, and they're outside Kevin's house, and John's about to go over to his house, and he's like, "What if there's no one home?" And Kevin responds with, "Well, then you come over to my house." And first of all, no hard feelings about the gunshot, clearly. But I think that's a big thing here, is that the idea of everyone getting through this together is kind of a theme here. And Kevin, like, no, like, you're important. I can't just ignore the fact that you're in pain. If you're alone, if you need people, we are here. I am here. Come over.
Yeah, and it's again the idea that these are two very similar men in the sense that they both had a similar journey, like you mentioned earlier, with the way that Kevin understands how he feels because he went through it with Laurie, and to an extent Tom. He gets this, and he's like, look, I know that what helped me eventually was Nora, a family again.
Yeah.
So if yours isn't there, you can come and share mine for a bit.
Yeah, it felt like a hand of friendship, despite everything that had went down, despite anything, the gunshot being the primary thing in your head. He's like, no, come over, you're not alone. And Kevin goes to go in. They have that little wave, which is very reminiscent of some of the waves that they've had before out in the porch. Specifically, Nora and Erica had like a wave that was the exact same location, where she was on the porch and Nora was in their path. But as he's going to the house, this earthquake starts, and like he's on the ground, and he's trying to, like, and we see some beams come down, and I'm like, oh my god, is this going to be the same as the cave, where the house is just like, who's in the house,
and he loses the family,
and we don't know who's in the house at this point, if anyone. But sure enough, he gets back up, and despite my worry, he goes up to the door, and the house is okay. And he opens the door, and the camera does one shot. It's just this 360 degrees kind of thing as it pans around the room, and we see Jill at first, relieved to see him. Then we see Laurie, and I'm like, okay, makes sense to see those two first. So that was a wise choice for this reveal.
They were the two that we know were in the house before.
Yeah, they were the two most likely to be there because we knew they were there before and they were told to stay. Now, they could have left, but those were the ones that were the most expected. And then it's Matt and Mary, which is at the point where Mary smiles and is like, hey, and I'm like, oh yeah, she woke up. It's been such a long time since those moments. Then it keeps going, and we see Tom holding the baby. It's like, oh man, we've not even seen Tom and
But I was worried then when I saw that. So it's like, Tom's got the baby. Where's Nora? Don't tell me she left anyway.
No, we're just saving her for last. And we end on Nora coming out, and she smiles again, and she's like, oh, you're home. And Kevin smiles. I think he says yeah. I
think he does. I don't know if I'm just inserting this again as well, but you can kind of picture it's just you going, yeah, the way that he does.
Yeah, I either yeah or just smile to mean yeah, but either way, he's like, yeah, I'm home, and that's where we end on. I actually thought it might go on a few extra seconds, and we might get the moment where he says she's not there anymore, and then have her say I believe you, and then cut to black. I thought we might get that little exchange at the end. I don't think we necessarily need it. I feel like we know the journey's complete, at least so far. We know that, and it's actually a really happy ending, given like I was so worried throughout most of this season, throughout most of this episode, and then this was like, everyone's, but Tom's back. You got Tom. You got your son back.
Do you know what gets me so strange? Like, I was going, this show is brutal. This, all season it's made you worry about things. I'm going, there can't be a happy end. And then I think back, Season 1 ended on a pretty happy note as well.
Relatively, yeah.
Like everyone was all right. Laurie was freed. You know, the Nora, she was going to leave, but she didn't. And they got the baby. They were a family. I was like, that was a pretty happy ending as well. And I was like, why
Well,
was I expecting the worst so much?
because the show's still good enough to make you think that it's possible.
Well, that's it. That's the thing.
And I think kind of the point is that, yeah, if we all sort of get through things together and support each other, that we will actually get through it okay.
Yeah.
And bad things happen. That's what the departure kind of represents. Is that, every so often something bad and random will happen. Someone might die in a car accident. You can't really control that, and that'll just happen. But you have to get over it. You have to work together to grow and heal, and So I like, a very uplifting ending. And the funny thing is, as much as I'm glad there's another season, like, had that not got any more, like, had that been the last scene, it would have worked.
Works,
yeah, it would have worked as an ending.
Yes. I really like that Laurie was there because obviously she had that scene with Jill earlier where she was like, if you want me to go, I'll go, and Jill's there just wiping the tears away, going, he told you to stay.
Yeah, she's not ready to say no, don't go. She's not ready to admit that she doesn't want her to go, but she's willing to bring up an excuse.
She's got a nice ready-made excuse. It's like, okay, this is a start, and it's the start of this relationship being rebuilt. So Laurie being there at the end, it's like, okay, she is a part of this family.
Yeah,
not romantically with Kevin anymore. Yeah, it's clearly over.
It's a weird family where the ex-wife's there with a son, and then the new wife's there with a new adopted son. But it's a family all the same.
It is. Yeah.
And maybe that's kind of the point: is the idea of the nuclear family. The two parents and two kids, and that's all a family is. That idea is kind of dead. The family is what you make it to be. Yeah. And I've always been a big supporter of the idea that family's not really about blood anyway. Families, you can choose to who your family is to an extent. Like a group of friends can be family. It's just about, about the relationships and about being there and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
So, no, I think that's a big thing. I think ultimately the message of the show is quite hopeful, but it's hopeful in a way that does not actually rely on a lot of the things that it explores. It explores religion, but it never says lean in that to make, get through things. It's just...
No, but like one character does, like Matt obviously does, and it's like for him, that's what works.
Yeah.
And it's this idea that, that there are various things. Kevin has to rely on a partner. Jill has to, it was ultimately herself that she had to rely on. And the idea that for different people have different ways of coping with things, but ultimately no way is necessarily more valid than the other. You can still end up in the same room all together at the end.
Yeah, ultimately be there for each other, I think. It's actually quite an uplifting message, ultimately, when you get down to it, which is nice.
Yeah.
Especially since, we just finished Twin Peaks, and the message at that end of that might not have been so uplifting. It may have been the most depressing, dark thing ever, and, so nice counterpoint. You mentioned Mary probably sang a song to get out, because we saw in episode 8 that she was in the hotel, and then we saw in this episode how you get out of the hotel. And maybe, she, like Kevin, kept refusing to sing a song, but then for whatever reason, on this final day, she said, yeah, go on then, I'll belt one out.
She heard that damn song often enough on the radio, and she was like, fine, I'll just sing the damn thing.
Yeah, that probably was the song, right? Like
it has to have been.
That was too much of a thing for it not to be that song.
There's no way it wasn't, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I can see it. Dear. So that was a really good finale. My only complaint, and this is only by comparison to previous episodes, because previous episodes focused on one thing so much that it felt weird to actually get an episode that was bouncing around all these different plots.
Right, it feels like even season 1, where this was more like a season 1 episode, but season 1 was still relatively focused. On at least half of its episodes were very tightly focused.
The second half of the season, yeah, I'd say that.
Yeah, but this does feel like the season 1 finale where we have Kevin at the start, and then we don't see Kevin again for a while.
Yeah.
It's the same sort of thing here, where we have a bit, and then, okay, he's gone away. We'll focus on other things.
Which, again, is not inherently bad. It's just the show's trained us so much just to what you expect from it. So it was just weird to have something completely different.
We've gone through, 9 ridiculously focused episodes where every episode has had, no, this is this person's episode, or, this is the theme of this one episode.
Yeah,
and now actually, it's like, okay, there's a few things going on here.
One thing that was sticking out to me in this actually was that there's a lot of characters that we didn't really see a lot of since episode 6. Most of the Murphy family, like John had a scene in episode 7, with the handprints, And we saw Michael be there to wake up Kevin, or be there when he woke up in the last couple. But it was the same scene. But we haven't seen Erica since 6. We didn't see any either of those two. We haven't really seen Nora since 6. We saw again she had the one phone call scene at the end of 7.
Yeah.
But that was it. So it was interesting to me because we went on this journey. 7 was still Kevin's episode, and 8 was also his episode, but it was inside the hotel, so there was almost no characters at all that weren't dead. And then 9 was
Tom and Laurie.
So it was away from the rest of the characters. So it was funny when it went back to John and he was worried about Evie again. It was like, oh yeah, we've not actually had a scene about him worrying about Evie in a while. Yeah.
Right,
So,
and I feel like it's smart because you never feel like anyone overstays their welcome in a plot, because that has been John's plot for the entire season, essentially.
yeah.
But because we only see it every 3 episodes or so, it doesn't feel like it's overdone. I don't feel like I'm sick of seeing it.
No, it's very tightly crafted season in that sense. No one feels that they overstay their welcome in any capacity.
Yeah.
So, and you could almost argue, I don't think it felt like there wasn't enough Meg, but you could almost look at just the pure numbers and go, oh, it's kind of weird. She was only in two episodes in one scene.
Yeah.
She was in one scene in episode 3, and then she had 9 and 10.
Yeah.
That was her whole thing, and it's like, that feels like not a lot, but
it's but then like you say with John, it's like, okay, but his plot was really in 1, 6, and this one. Maybe one other one as well.
Yeah, I would say it was in another couple in the first 5. Like it came up.
I'm just thinking because obviously 1 was kind of that family episode.
Yeah, one was that family. 2 was the Kevin side. 3 was Laurie. I think 4 also had
maybe because 5 was the Matt episode, so it wasn't in that one.
So 1, 4, 6, and then 10.
10, yeah. So really, it's not that much when you think about it.
It's not, but it felt more consistent. Whereas Meg, we got one scene and then she didn't show up until the second last episode, so it felt like we hadn't seen her for ages.
It's true, yeah.
And but that's okay because so much of that stuff that was in the Laurie, Meg, Tom elements, it was all building on stuff from season 1. It was using its history to its advantage, where it didn't have to re-establish things, and that was good stuff. So, I have no idea where season 3 is going. Not Australia.
To Australia.
Not Australia. No, it's not going to Australia.
It is. It's going to Australia.
Maybe for one episode. Maybe for one.
It's look. I'm putting money where my mouth is.
There was not a single mention of Australia in this episode. I just want to point that out.
Look, when Kevin was in the hotel, he went straight to his dad. He is going to go to his dad for answers.
Aye.
He's going straight to Australia.
Maybe for a scene, but the family's not moving to Australia. We're not having the entire show set in Australia for the last season. That's my God.
I don't know. I'm going for it.
Oh well, so maybe long till we
find out.
Yeah, next episode. We'll at least have a part answer to the question. Although I think we agreed on 4. Like, it had to be more than 4 for you to be right.
Yeah, it had to be a majority.
Yeah, we had to agree on that. But
although I do want to stipulate at this point, because that was made prior to the hotel episode, an episode in the hotel where it's all just there. If his body is still in Australia and it's from there, that still counts. That doesn't count as that's not Australia.
Yeah, only if they're already in Australia and they're actually in Australia at that point.
Yeah.
Like let's say it's actually 4 and 4, but then you say, oh no, but that one in the hotel doesn't count as yours. But I'm like, no, but like they have to already be in Australia.
If they're in Australia when that takes place.
Okay. Right, let's stop talking about this. 'Cause I'm sure people who have actually seen season 3 probably just get annoyed at these arguments about whether or not
they
it's
either get
Australia.
really annoyed or they find a large amount of enjoyment at knowing who's right.
Yeah, well, I think they enjoy when I'm right, so yeah, you're probably right.
Okay, I think the same, that they enjoy when you're wrong, so...
We'll see.
Yep,
We'll
yeah,
see.
we will.
So there you go, that is the season 2 finale. We have one more season that consists of 8 episodes, and we'll be going straight into that. So, yeah, we'll try and still do 2 a week for the first little bit. Once more TV starts up, it might switch to 1 a week, but not to worry. We'll keep going through it consistently.
We got a couple of weeks at least where we can get them in.
Yeah, so but with a bit of luck. We'll see. I mean, I would love to finish it by the end of September, because my horror movie schedule for October is so goddamn insane that I would like to
That's
have.
fair, but we should point out, again, if you're watching this on YouTube, this is a week later for you than when he said this.
Oh yeah, it's a week early on Patreon. This will go up Patreon a week before YouTube. So
Yes, so by the end of September is about half the month.
no, it gives us more time, because it means it doesn't
Well,
go up on
yeah, yeah,
YouTube
yeah.
till a week at
I'm just saying,
October.
so they have context of when that is.
Okay, yeah. For people at home, yes. That if you're on YouTube and not watching through Patreon, yes, that takes us into the middle of October, give or take.
Yeah.
So yeah. But aye, it's fine. What you can do if you go to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, a single dollar will give you access to episodes a week early of these leftover reviews. Also,
And you can see who gets to gloat about Australia sooner.
you also get to see the Star Trek reviews first if you're also into those. And any other future alreadies that may pop up. Although, I will say just now that when we finish Leftovers, we're not going to replace it immediately with something else. We're going to take a little bit of time to rest, probably over the couple of months afterwards, and then maybe we're looking at maybe at Christmas time or so to maybe think of another one to sort of replace this slot, as it were. Because this kind of replaced Twin Peaks, but Twin Peaks was actually still on. It was new episodes instead of old episodes.
Yeah, but it got away with it because it was summer, so there was
Yeah.
like no TV.
So, yeah, so we won't replace this one straight away when we're done, but a little bit down the line we'll have something else. Star Trek will still be going though. That'll be going for
Yeah.
years.
That's just an indefinite thing.
There's too much Star Trek to take breaks on that. Thank you very much. So yeah, that's Patreon. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fudge for channel updates if you want to do all that stuff. Yeah, I did it because I did Patreon first. I'm all out of order, and it's throw me off my game here. Thanks for watching, guys. Keep watching TV. We'll see you next time.